Welcome. In this video I'm going to show you how you can create a stem and leaf display using Python. I'm using Jupyter Lab and I'm running Python version 3.818. A stem and leaf display is one that looks something with this in it, where we have stems which can be actually multiplied with a specific factor and then a leaf. So in this case, looking by the key, this 3 and 3 means it's actually 3 times 10 equals 30 plus 3 equals 33. In some variations you also see the cumulative counts next to it. Some have the smallest stem on top, some will have them at the bottom. Now this video is not so much about the details about these diagrams, more about how to actually create them. So this animated GIF, you can find it on my website if you're interested. Just some example data. I'll need to import pandas and then I can load my student statistics file, which has some answers to a survey, and I'll be using the age field for this. I don't need all the data, just one numeric one, and generic age should work fine. I also remove the missing values and store the result under scale field, so it's really a numeric field. There was one student answering 119, or it could have been a typo, so I'll simply replace that with 19. I have a library made by myself that you can simply import using straight from my GitHub account. That has a function in it, but if you don't want to use my library, rely on other people, then the STEM graphic library actually has one that can do this. So once you install that library, you can use the STEM and imported it. You can use the STEM graphic, enter the scale field, and it will actually give you a nice stem and leaf plot. We can also rescale it, so saying the scale, or actually the factor to use for the stems, and then you get the similar results. Alright, if you don't want to use any libraries, it's also an option. So let's say we have some other data. I'll just store it as a list. Then first we sort the data. Then we check how many samples we actually have, so 9 in this case, and I'm going to set a key for my stems. Now the stem itself for each score is simply going to be the value of that score divided by the key and then floor it, so round it down, which can be accomplished by simply making it into an integer. So here we now have the stems for each of the scores. The leaves is then whatever remains, so we take the original score minus the stem for that score times the key, and that's exactly being done in here, and that should give us the leaves for each of them. Now notice there's a 6, and I actually want this to have the same number of digits as all the other leaves. So here's one way of doing that. I set a format string for this, which looks at how big the key actually is, minus 1, because then we get the number of digits that remains, and it will actually put those with a 0. So now I'm going to format all my leaves using that format string, and now hopefully, as you can see, it's a 0, 6. Notice that all the numbers are now also no longer numbers, but they're actually strings. Let's place all the strings that belong to each other in the same group. So that's I go over all my possible stems and then actually place them in the same group. So now we have a small little array, or list actually, where the first element is the stem and then shown all the different leaves. I want all these leaves not as separate elements but just as one long string, so I'll simply join them and then put a space in between. So that's what's accomplished here. And then finally we can just print the results one by one, and that gives you a very basic stem and leaf display. If you want, of course, you can first print a title like stem and then a pipe and then a leaf, and perhaps add a key at the end, perhaps even add the cumulative counts, etc. But hopefully this gives you an impression of how you could create a stem and leaf plot display using Python. Alright, Thank you for watching and hope it was helpful.